Excellent. That's going to be a good start.
It has been
Thank
a
you,
while.
Ray. My first time.
Well, we saw each other pre-COVID,
Right.
but have known each other since. First and foremost, Skupny was not one of the options. You know, for two reasons. One, I learned a long time ago you kind of can't sell your last name. You can sell your children, but you can't sell your last name. And number two, it seemed more appropriate for like a pickle company as opposed to a wine company. And the boys are still working on that part of it. Every year they make me pickles in the summertime. When we named our two children, our two boys, we do have a daughter also who's not on the masthead. Reed and Lang came up because Reed is a maternal family name on my side, and Lang is a maternal family name on Tracy's side. So it became the boy's middle name. Reed's first name was John. He changed it when he came of age.
Karmic things.
Right, numeric things.
Yeah.
And also he thought I was reading his mail. I don't know, at 18. But he always went by Reed, and Jersey always went by Jersey, though I think he did one day where he asked us to call him Lang. It didn't work. But Lang and Reed had a nice cadence to it. I was going to England a lot at the time, and everything was Robertson and and Smith and that sort of thing. So
They are also family names. They're maternal grandmother's maiden names, and paternals, some both sides, and so they do have some history behind them.
Yep.
And so where that history comes from, we don't know.
And they're easy to spell. We have many derivatives of Skupny.
I think the naming is a really good point because everybody in the Valley, now being second generation in the Valley, everybody knows John Skupny, and they say his last name correctly, and they know, oh, you're a Skupny, you must be related, and there's only us here. And I actually think it has some credence to it now, which would be kind of cool.
I think so too.
Yeah, much like Gunlock Bunchu, if you can spell it and say it, you can drink it.
Yeah.
So what we're drinking right now is the Lang & Reed Chenin Blanc. We have a 2020 and we have a 2021. And Dad and I have been working with this vineyard from Mendocino, right in the Talmadge area. I believe it's called colloquially Norgard Vineyard. It's changing, so it's sold recently. But this has been our bread and butter since 2013.
For Shannon.
For Shannon, yeah. Dad, so Mom and Dad have been making Cab Franc solo since 95, 96. And then Dad and I started collaborating in 2013, where we found this vineyard right here had some extra press juice that somebody was able to kind of sell on the top as bulk. We barrel fermented it, and we've been in love with it ever since. We make it in a very Burgundian style. By no means is it a secret, but we barrel ferment. We use multiple different yeasts. It's small. It's like 10, 12 barrels. And we love it. What I love about Chenin Blanc is it kind of transcends and finds that happy medium between Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc, which is what I do in my day job every day. And so it's this beautiful, full-bodied, clean, concise white wine that also is crisp and refreshing. You can go heavy and dark. You can go light and easy. We make it more on the heavier side, more full-bodied mouthfeel. But at the same time, it has the lift at the end. And what we really want to do is, there's so much unexciting Chenin out there that is remarkably unremarkable. We think ours, in its tiny production, 200-300 cases on a good year,
Right.
is leaning much towards Vouvray style. And that was our goal. Megan and I got married and lived in France for a long time, right outside of Vouvray in Chinon. And we just loved Chenin Blanc and its different, its versatility. You could have it sweet, you could have it dry, you could have it Mousseau, you could have demi-sec, you could have all these different Chenin Blancs, and it was all the same grape from a very small region, about the size of Napa. And you can't recreate that here in California, but you can find little vineyards that are very specific to it. And I never want to lose this spot. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, for me, it was really a turning point where for 20 vintages, over 20 vintages, we only made Cabernet Franc because that was the focus, and that was Tracy's and my, the invention or the discussion we had in terms of what do we want to make, how do we come about doing that, and to really focus it, I basically just stole a page right out of Dan Duckhorn's book, which was take an obscure variety and make sure you love it because you got to drink it and fine tune it. And when Reed and Megan were in France and had this experience with Chenin Blanc, when the discussions finally came about, well, this could really fit, because it's equally as quirky as Franc. It also comes from the same region. And in its same way, both of us, 2 generations, were inspired by Cabernet Franc and Chenin Blanc of the Loire bent or style. We've done this for a decade now, which is mind-boggling to me because it seems like the snap of a finger. We're 27 years old now as a company.
Wow.
96, whatever that adds up to. But I actually made a prototype in 93, so we always have this kicker year where I wasn't legal till 96. How about that?
Okay, that's fair enough. Okay.
But it's really exciting to collaborate. I was leery at first because we were obviously, we're 30 years apart from each other. And we actually have fairly similar demeanors to each other. And when he was a teen, we had our times.
Even now, I've matured a lot. He hasn't, so it works out nicely.
And in 10 years, we've only had 2 knockdown dragouts.
Oh, only
And
2.
it turns out I was right both times, so,
Totally fine.
The main lineup is we make 2 different Chenin Blancs. The Napa bottling has come and gone and is coming back again. When we started the Chenin in 13 from this vineyard from Norgard, the next year it was like when you buy a car, suddenly you realize, all these people have these cars. And it had taken us 3 years to find a vineyard to work with because there's not a lot of Chenin left. There's only 15 acres left in Napa. And there had once been 2,800 acres, 1980.
I did not know that.
Isn't that wild?
Yeah.
2,800.
Second only to Chardonnay, which were the 3,000 acres.
Yeah.
That was in 1980 when Tracy and I moved to California.
That's really surprising.
Imagine 2,800 acres of Chenin around Napa.
I can't.
Yeah.
And not by today's standards. That's for
And
sure.
it was mostly Mid-Valley. And when before the phylloxera thing happened, it really, when the white wine boom happened, Chenin Blanc got left holding the bag someplace. And simultaneously, the white Zinfandel boom happened. So the Chenins of that era was Charles Krug's largest production was Chenin Blanc.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
And they were off dry. They were almost more Germanic in style. And so they kind of fell out of favor because the people who were drinking sweet traded up from jug wines to white Zinfandel. And those who had been drinking sweet started to go into Chardonnay and then then Sauvignon Blanc.
Sure, which makes sense.
But the acreage was really turned over mostly to Cabernet Sauvignon.
Yeah.
There's been as much as a few years ago there were 18 acres, and there's been a couple acres removed, and now there's some more plantings taking place. John Williams at Frog's Leap had a couple acres in that he had to pull out for some mistaken identity to the rootstock or whatever. The 1 acre we were working with Oak Knoll got pulled out and planted to Cabernet. We have a new source on the backside of Lake Hennessy, 200 feet short of the Howell Mountain appellation, that we started working with in 2022. Very small amount with 4 barrels.
5. We have a whopping 5 barrels.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then next year, with 2023, a great grower in the Oak Knoll area, just a block or 2 from where we were sourcing originally, is coming back into bearing.
Yeah.
He's planted 2.5 acres, which we're committed to 0.8 acres. So.
And that dedication shines through also in our mainstay. The main bread and butter of Lang and Reed is Cabernet Franc. And so there's always been, every single year, there's been 2 iterations of Lang and Reed. We do. Back in the day, it was 2 Napas, a more generic wine of the week, and then a Premiere Etage, labeled Premiere Etage, and that was more of the wine for the weekend. In 2007, we went to a North Coast designation. Cabernet Franc was being pushed out. In the roaring 90s, Cabernet Franc was a little more affordable for a singular producer. And then in about the mid-2000s, we had to go to different AVAs and different regions to keep it at a $29 bottle of wine. Lang and Reed started at what, $26.99?
No, it was the first year that we simultaneously, this was in early 97, we simultaneously released, mid-97, we simultaneously released the prototype we made in 93. So it was now almost 4 years old.
But how much?
The 93 was 20.
Okay.
And then the new release, which was the 96, as almost a nouveau release, was 18.
That wine today is $29.
Right.
And so we've been able to have 27, 28, or,
Vintages.
and we've gone up $10. And by doing that, we had to expand.
Right.
So we went to North Coast, and it's gone back and forth. We still do North Coast, but now our mainstay is mostly California. And by doing that, we had to enter into Sassoon, so just a little bit south of us here, with Alexander Valley. A lot of our vineyards are in Lake County, in those nice high elevation red soils.
And that's actually what necessitated us to broaden to the California appellation, because of the fires since 15 have been really adverse up in Lake County.
Yes, I remember that
So
very
though
well.
we continued to buy grapes up there, a lot of them didn't make the cut.
Yeah.
It was a financial risk for us, but since I've reached out to a couple vineyards out in the Sierra Nevada, and now one that I've been working with down in Hollister,
That's
in the
right.
South
A
Central
little bit of El
Coast.
Dorado. So, and the beauty of our regular release, our California, is that it's the consistent Lang and Reed. You know, it's not just a bottle of Cab Franc; it's a bottle of Lang and Reed Cab Franc, and that typicity and that house palate that John's here able to recreate of year is really amazing. www.langandreed.com.
That's it.
Yep. And you can reach us there on the website. You can call us. If you call the office and a lady answers, what's the phone number?
707-963-7547.
That's right. If it's a woman, it's either my mom or my wife. If it's a man, it's my dad. So we're pretty easy to get a hold of. We hope to see you soon. You know, and to be honest, you know, he hasn't changed in 40 years, whereas I really think I've grown and matured over the last decade. And I think I'm giving a lot to meet him in the middle, which is nice.